Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I am Tanika, and today we are finally going to start talking about 90-Day OG Tell-All Part 2. That's what we're doing. So I don't have any hot goss necessarily that I'm going to be talking about, but I do have something that I will save for when it is appropriate to talk about it. So let's jump right into the episode. So 90 Day Fiancé, Season 10, Episode 20, the final episode, Tell All Part 2. So we are right back where we left off. You know, Gino says he regrets nothing at all. He said 95% of the time I was with my family. It was just that 5% y'all decided to put out there, you know? And, you know, she doesn't have to, you know, be upset like that, you know? We see her crying, saying, he never looks at me like that. He never looks at me like that. He's not attracted to me. Jesus Christ. And then she like throws the water bottle, like, and like, I'm like, girl, like, okay. Anyway, I mean, honestly, the way to solve this issue is have sex with her. It would be great, you know? Anyways, let's go back, you know, to Daisy now, because, you know, she's still there freaking out. So let's talk to Daisy. So Daisy says, you know, he seemed to have had a good time, you know. She's like, you could tell that he was wary and at the club and maybe he didn't really want to be there necessarily. Which, I mean, in those 5% of the time that he was there, it's just, you know. But Rob does ask, you know, was he kind of like on good behavior in comparison to maybe other men that are there for their bachelor party? And she says, yeah. And she actually says she's seen a hell of a lot worse. Ew. Anyways. Then all of a sudden, out in the background, somewhere out there in the distance, we hear, he never hugs me that way. Never. I'm not screaming, guys. I'm not going to scream. But yeah, I'm like, geez Louise, girl. What's happening? Like, she just starts screaming. I'm just like, oh my God, girl. But, Sean is like, wow, okay. Rob thinks, you know, it should redeem him based on like what Daisy is saying here. That's probably not going to. I think we can kind of all agree that it's probably not going to redeem him. Gino says, well, it might be because my ex-girlfriend was a stripper. I'm sorry, what now? What? And Sean is like, wait, what? And Jasmine's like, I can't forgive him. We're just kind of going back and forth here at this point. She's still not out there. And she's like, I'm traumatized. You're traumatized? That's a little extreme, but okay. Sure, you're traumatized. And we do find out like this wasn't his wife. This was his ex-wife. This was his most recent girlfriend. Potentially the one who he sent nudes to. Let that sink in. And Sean, kind of like everybody else, kind of like, oh, I don't think we knew that. And he's like, oh, okay. You know, maybe, yeah, that could be exactly why. But anyways, we're gonna try to get back out there, right, Jasmine? And Nikki's kind of like, listen, you're a strong bitch. You can do this. Let's get back out there. So they go back out. Jasmine, as she comes back out, apologizes to Sean. She's like, I'm sorry, Sean. Like, I'm sorry. I respect you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She's like, I had an anxiety attack and I didn't want people to see me like that. Ma'am, there are cameras. What do you mean you didn't want people to see you like that? And not only that, we don't need to see you. Everyone fucking heard you. Come on. We may not be able to see you, but we can hear you. But yes, she would like to talk to Daisy, right? And she tells. I don't understand why she's telling Daisy this. She's a stripper. She's just trying to make her coins. She doesn't give a shit about Gino. But she says, to Daisy, he never complimented me as his wife, and in the way he did for you, it hurt me. And Daisy says, well, he never complimented me. True, he never did. But anyways, let's continue. And as we're kind of like trying to talk to Daisy, Gino's trying to, butt in here. And Jasmine is like, no, I need to talk to her. You had your time with her now. Oh. She says, you had your time with her, now it's my time. Jasmine. That's good. Anyway, she's like, I found this lip gloss. Wait, ma'am. So you think Daisy is the owner of the lip gloss? Mm-mm. She is not the owner of the lip gloss at all. Please, she never wanted. Gino, you're the only one who wants him. No one else does. Anyways, she's like, I found this lip gloss in his car. And she says, I can just tell you, okay, it's not mine. She's like, I only interacted with him in the club, and that is it. And she's like, I want to reassure her that he loves her, which I don't understand how she could even say that. She doesn't know Gino besides him being in the club or whatever. Jasmine tells her, oh, when he's awkward, that's him, being flirty. So you're basically trying to say he was being awkward and himself or whatever, and that's him being flirty with. I mean, again, being flirty. I mean, I wouldn't particularly want to say that in my face either, but being flirty doesn't then go to him cheating. Those are two separate things. So I don't. Just because he's flirting doesn't mean he's trying to get in her pants or something or lack thereof. So it's just no. I don't get her. Anyway. Anyways, that's the end of that. Sean literally says, well, hopefully y'all fuckers get some clarity. Until next time. So we're gonna take a break now after all of this, and Jasmine tells Gino, this is it. You crossed the line. He doesn't think he did, and she's like, well, that's the problem. You don't see, you don't care. I don't know. Anyways, they I think everyone else is kind of in the green room, and they kind of say, Jasmine does some shit too. No, we've seen it. And she constantly brings up her ex, which, yes, that is a problem. And, and I think someone says, like, I guess that's why, you don't sleep with her. I think that's just saying this to Gino. Like, that's probably why you don't have sex with her. Because, again, I feel like if I'm constantly bringing up my ex to my current, he's probably not going to want to fuck me either. Like, you have to breed the ground for him to like I never understood like if fighting necessarily causing him to not have sex with her, like that feels like a cop out. But if you're constantly bringing up Dane Dan, yeah, that would do it. That would definitely make him not want to do it. Ashley gets her though. She's like, when you don't feel heard, you just get louder, right? But Ashley says they do need to, bang it out. you know? And this is the one time that I agree with Ashley. This is the thing. There should be a happy medium. You should be able to communicate, not use sex to communicate. But when you're not having any sex, there can be problems, you know? Women can burn shit down to the ground if you're not having sex. It's just, you have to release that energy somehow. Amen to that, actually. Anyway, Jasmine comes in and says that she has something that she wants to say. She says she was not necessarily going to show this, but she got this thing. And it's a letter. And she's going to read it. And it says, Jasmine, Gino and I had a lot of fun at the bachelor party. Sorry about the lip gloss. You can keep it, but it won't look as good on you as it does on me. Here is my panties he took off of me that night. The rest you can keep for your imagination. Now, here's what I think. Number one, I think Jasmine wrote this letter. I don't think this was like Daisy or something. And the other part, because again, we come to the point where we have heard the lip gloss thing was fake. So that just constitutes this letter is fake, if that is the case. The other option could have been even the ex, because we've heard that the ex is a little cuckoo magoo. So that could be also possible, But my bets are this letter is fake, written by Jasmine. That's her underwear and whatever. She says that he says it's not true. And like I said, inside the envelope, we see a pair of panties. And Rob just kind of say like what I'm kind of, even if like could have been a fan or something like that, a fan of the show who wants to fuck with people or whatever, which they're out there. Rob says, there are some fucked up people out there, Gino can't believe that she actually showed it to people. You knew she brought it, but anyways, Nikki tells her, you need to be stronger. You gotta know that he loves you. Like, even Nikki is telling her, enough. Like, you can't keep leading the way you're going. He loves you. Let's move on from this. But anyway, she says that she just doesn't want to be seen as a crazy person too damn late. Anyways, let's move on. We're now going to talk a little bit about Nikki and Justin Igor now. Trigger warning for misogyny and stupidity and transphobia and disanger. Because, my God, let's get into it. So, are we still broken up? Justin Igor says, he thinks that they need more time. We now get to hear his side of the breakup story because obviously we only heard from her, and we get this clip. And he says, he will miss her, but, it's the best decision. He says that she had no patience when it came to this argument. She attacked me. Oh, God, you poor baby. How would she fucking attack you over a text message or a phone call? Like, get over yourself. Anyways, we move on. He doesn't want his every thought in the morning to be, how do I fix this relationship? The distance and time helped him to rebuild himself. He felt a wave of energy the next day after he broke up with her. As if I became free. That is what he has to say about his relationship with her. She says, yeah, because you were never in love with me from the beginning. He says, he didn't feel, trapped or anything like that, because she's kind of saying like, oh, you kind of feel like you're in prison, don't you, or whatever. But they broke up like 10 times a day and he just wanted out. And she says, oh, he just wants to play victim, and which, I'm sure Nikki probably, I'm sure the truth somewhere lies in the middle, honestly, because we've seen how Nikki can be, but at the same time, we see how he can be. He he can't even carry a conversation with her or have an argument with her. And maybe the argument wouldn't be 10 times a day if they would just talk about it and resolve it. But he seems to have a problem with resolving anything. She says that, why did you text and not call? I think this is Sean actually asked this question. And he says, well, that's easy. Every time we talk, you go crazy. Oh, for fuck's sakes. And he says, Nikki needs to learn how to listen. I'm sorry, what? Guys, this gets worse. Let's keep going. And because she is kind of like saying, like, you're talking bullshit, and stop talking bullshit, like, stop talking to me the way you're talking to me. He says, tomorrow I will stop. Today I will speak. And Ashley's triggered by that. She's like, oh, he just said, tomorrow I will stop. Today I will speak. Okay, Justin Igor, let's get on with it then. He then tells Ashley, because she said anything, he's timid all, God forbid. He says, with you, I feel a Nikki vibes. What the fuck does that mean? Well, Nikki tells us. Nikki says, basically, you have manly vibes. So Ashley starts to say something, and Justin Igor tells her, try to speak with me with more respect. The the anger. I'm like, oh, you want respect? Well, then here's the respect. And I would have punched him in his face, knocked him right the fuck out. Are you kidding me? Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Oh my God. This fucking guy. I don't understand it, because his mom seems the sweetest, and I don't quite understand. I don't get it. Like, wow. He makes Andre look like a pussycat. What the fuck? Anyway, Ashley says, why would you ever tell her she has man vibes as a trans woman? Like, you don't understand, like, that's problematic, right? And he's like, no, I see vibes here, is what he's saying. And then to troll Ashley, honestly, but honestly, he's being fucking rude. He says, we just need your candles for that. Hold your candles here. And he kind of puts it like to his heart. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And he just says bad vibes. And he's like, when I feel Batman vibes, I tell. And Ashley's kind of over at this point. She's like, boy, bye. And this is the thing, like, I don't understand what it, like, even, I honestly, I hope this is real, because if this is fake, why would Nikki ever put herself out there like this? Honestly. Because you're just disrespecting not only yourself, but the entire trans community. So I really do hope this is real, which also just makes it really problematic for me, because if this is real, Justin Igor's an asshole, and why would she ever subject herself to a man who would disrespect her in this way? There are people who are not transphobic, who are not going to disrespect her. And I mean, a really great point is going to be made a little later from Jasmine, because the things that he is saying to Nikki about her having man vibes or whatever, it has nothing to do with her being trans. It has everything to do with the fact that he just really and truly, even if it was a born woman, he would still have a problem. he would have a problem with any American woman, honestly, who, because he's a misogynist. It goes a lot deeper than her being trans. So, he's like, where is the problem? And Nikki says, I flew down for his birthday and we made up. They fucked and he put the ring back on my finger. So, y'all, they're fucking engaged again. What the fuck is happening? Jasmine is speechless. Why go back? That's a very good question. And she says because she loves him. But you know what? That's not enough. Being in love with somebody isn't enough when they treat you this way. He doesn't respect her. He's, at the very least, doesn't respect her. He's transphobic. Like, why would you ever want to be with somebody like this? Ever. He asks, which part of me do you love? The top or the bottom? What the fuck? So he's basically trying to say, oh, you love my dick more than anything else. But is that a problem? I'm not saying that she should love his dick more. I'm not saying that. But is that a problem? I mean, I love my man, but I also love his dick too. Like, that's normal. You should want her to. Like, you should want anyone that you're involved with to love all of you, including that. Like, come on. Vase is being an asshole again. She does tell him the lower part is not all that. So calm down. But clearly it is because, like, you're begging him to have sex with you. Like, kind of borderline begging him to have sex with you during the season. But anyways, Clayton says, I think one of the best things, actually, funny enough, Clayton says, well, it's definitely not the lower part because it's not like you're giving that to her. So it's not that. That's fucking funny. But let's go back to the breakup because we've gone so far off track. Apparently, she would ask if he was seeing his ex. And this is a little confusing, but we'll try to get a handle on it. So his first girlfriend kind of reached out to Nikki for some fucking reason to congratulate her on the engagement. And, I guess Nikki asked Justin Igor if he would see his ex, like, actually intentionally meet up with her. And he would say that they would see each other at a park. And basically she took that as, like, he is intentionally going to see her, right? Whereas he says, no, we would run into each other at the park. And she would just happen to be there. And she's like, but you told me you wouldn't see her ever. Well, that's, you're just trying to backpedal on this. But from my understanding, he says here that in his city, Krishna, they don't have many parks. And during the warmer months, they all tend to go to the park. So there is a chance that you're going to run into people that you know in the park. For those people who watch Pillow Talk, Andre confirmed this. He said, yeah, this is how it is. There's not many parks. When the weather is nicer, everyone is going to the park, and there's a chance you're going to run into people. He confirmed this. So it is actually very possible that there was nothing for Nikki to worry about in terms of the ex-girlfriend. Now, is it weird that she reached out to this person, to Nikki, who she doesn't fucking know? Yes. But if this is his first girlfriend, we're talking like this was in high school. They're long past this. They're probably just friends at this point. Like, who cares? There's nothing to really worry about here. But, whatever, right? She thinks that he was cheating, after they did apply for the K1. And he says, I'm not. You see my arm? It's strong. That's my proof. And we're all initially a little confused. And we're like, huh, what? And Rob is like giggling. He's trying to say because he's jerking off and his arm is strong because he jerks off all the time. That's what he's trying to say. Jesus Christ. Anyway, Ashley says, okay, but did you cheat? Yes or no? And he says, well, ask Nikki when she applied for the K1. What does that have to do with anything? She asked you if after she applied for the K1, did you cheat on her? Yes or no? That has nothing to do with whether, like, asking Nikki when she applied to it. Stupid. But it's okay. Ashley holds her own. She says, nope. I'm asking you. Yes or no? And he says, okay, relax. Think of your candles. Hold the candles. Fuck you, Justin. Igor. Just answer the fucking question, you asshole. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so Ashley's kind of over this already because she's like, you say that you have man vibes. Well, then answer the fucking question. Yes or no? Did you cheat? Like, it's not hard. He says, I was taught to respect women and I respect, my ex, meaning Nikki. That didn't answer the question. You skirted around the question, but okay, great. Manuel says nothing he says makes sense. So, then the question is asked. I think Sean asked the question. Or no, actually, not, sorry, not Sean. It was Sophie asked this question. Are you in love with her or not? And he says that she is acting like my enemy, not my friend. That is besides the point. Do you love her or not? You can hate somebody, really. Honestly, I've been there. You can hate someone, but in the core of it, the hatred comes because you love that person. So answer the goddamn question. Do you or do you not? And he says that he is, fully at ease with her being trans because we're thinking, is that the reason? Like, that you're hesitant in answering this question or what the fuck? But no, he's not fully at ease with her being trans. If you're constantly talking about her quote unquote man vibes, you're not content with her being a trans woman. But someone does, I think Sophie says, well, that's not right. He says, I know better than anyone here, Nikki. Wow, narcissism. Where have you been all this time? I mean, shit. Yeah, that's literally a narcissist. I know better than anyone else. 9 times out of 10, they never do. And Ashley at this point is like, you gotta go, boo. No, you gotta go. Enough's enough. And he's like, this is so weird too when Ashley says you gotta go. And Jasmine, Igor's like, no. Like, I'm sorry. You don't want her. But no, he wants to be able to control her and manipulate her because that is exactly all he wants. So he's like, don't judge us. And then he says the kicker. If she learned to behave more like a lady, then everything would be fine. So if she learned to be more like a 50s wife, then everything would be fine. This fucking guy. Ashley asks, are you in or are you out? In terms of are you in or are you out of this relationship? I mean, I don't know why it has to be up to him. Nikki should be out. But he says no. He does not think that they are in a relationship, but the door is not closed. Jesus, it should be, but whatever. That's that for now. We are going to take a break from them and come back to them later. But now let's talk with Sam and Jitra. So, they were not trying to get pregnant, obviously. They were just having way too much sex and then bada bing, bada boom, and they're not pregnant. She says that he put a demon inside of her because all she does is throw up all the time. So he did refile the diversion paperwork and he is now in the program and he will stay out of prison as long as he, does what he has to do and stays out of trouble and he's in a good path. Ashley asks, does the being Muslim, does it help him to stay sober? And he says, yes, it does. And that's great. It's all you can really truly ask for. If religion is able to help with something like this, then by all means, I'm all for it. So let's talk about an affair he may have had, or he did have, after they got together. Ooh. He says, well, here's how this went. So one night, okay, he kind of had like a one night stand, kind of. He did tell Chitra right away after it happened. But we're gonna kind of be a little confused as to whether or not he actually did tell her. But here's what happened. So he was driving an Uber, and he met this girl while driving her to her next destination. Um and by the way, this was also early on in the relationship. He hadn't even met her yet. But anyway, he met this woman while driving an Uber. He got her number. But the sex didn't happen that night. Oh no. He saw her the next day. And then that's when it happened. And the funny thing here is when they're asking Chitra about when Sam told her about this, Chitra says that she remembers him telling her how he was at this party with this girl, went to her room, and that she did something weird that he didn't like, and then he got out of there. What the fuck was that? What did she do that was so outrageous that he would have run out of there if that was even the truth? It's not the truth, but what would he, what would you have done? Like, I'm so confused. And he says, no, I told you I slept with her. And she says, no, you didn't tell me that. And someone, I can't remember who it was it Nikki? I think it was Nikki, who's like, men be lying. They think that maybe she interpreted what he told her incorrectly, or maybe he didn't actually tell her. Who knows? The two stories are very different. I know one story he slept with her, the other story he didn't. Like, he ran out of there or whatever. And the funny thing here is Nikki doesn't buy that Sam actually told her. And Sam was like, well, haven't you cheated before? And she's like, no, once I'm in a relationship, I'm in a relationship. Like, I'm not going to cheat. And he's like, oh. But she doesn't quite buy that, you know, he actually told her. And Sean says, you didn't seem phased, though, Chitra, when he said that he did. And she says, we're good now. Things are fine. And Jasmine says, take it from me. Before we get to that part, sorry, because that's towards the end. Basically, what we're kind of gathering here, I think the majority is saying chances are Sam did tell her, and Chitra just didn't want to remember it that way. And she, kind of created her own story in her own mind, maybe. I think it could be either or, honestly. I find it interesting that he would tell her right away. But there are people who do. There are people who do, when they cheat, tell someone right away. But huh, I don't know. Not sure which way that would have gone if he did tell her or he didn't tell her. But yeah. But Jasmine does tell them that, take it from me. Your kids do not need perfect parents. They need happy ones. But yeah, we just kind of get some more bullshit now between Jasmine and Gino, but that's kind of that. Now we're going on a break. He says, to Gino, I think says to Jasmine that I wouldn't have done anything to kind of hurt you. And, he wouldn't have, he wouldn't have done anything to hurt her. And, maybe he wouldn't have gone to the club at all if he knew it would have hurt her. That's basically the gist of it. We're going to get a lot more of them starting tonight as I record this. So it is what it is. But let's take a break here. And when we come back, we're going to jump into the rest of the tell-all. Have you ever wanted to guest on a podcast like this one that you're listening to right now? Well, you can. You can definitely do this by visiting a website called Podmatch, where you can sign up and be available for all different types of podcasts that you can guest on. Or you can even search for a podcast and say, I want to guest on your podcast. I think we'd be a good match. So if you want to do this, you can go to our unique link, which is joinpodmatch.com/reality, and you can sign up and do exactly that. And you can find us and you can guest on our podcast. So again, that unique link is www.joinpodmatch.com. That's joinpodmatch.com/reality, REALITEA, and you can be a guest on our podcast. And I'm back. So let's get in with Clayton and Anna Lee. So Mom is not called Mom no more because she has her own place now. And Manuel says, you should have stuck your guinea pigs in the closet instead of your mom. Clayton's fucking response to this. Jesus fucking Christ. And Clayton says, well, you can't really do that because they need air. Oh my God. And someone's like, so what, your mom doesn't need air? And he says, well, she would leave the door open. You could have done the exact same thing with the guinea pigs. You could have just stuck them in the closet, leave the door open, let your mom sleep in the main part of the house. Like, fuck. Oh, man. Anyway. So you're fucking more now or what? And he says, well, it's definitely improved. They've had sex twice this week. So there you go. And then we started asking everybody how much they have sex in a week. Like that needs to be discussed. Jasmine and Gina are like, don't even ask us. Like, because maybe once a year. Like, whatever. Like, what the fuck? We got people being like, we have Sam being like, well, every day. Maybe have the people being like 2-3 times a week. Like, what the fuck? What is this conversation? Anyways, Justin Eager says, focus, Nikki, focus. What? Miss her. She wants to fuck you. You, sir, need to focus instead. And she says, shut up. Now we ask everyone. Okay, I already said that. Jasmine would like, though, if Gina would fuck her every day. That'd be great. Gina dates. Sex makes her happy. Amen, girl. Sex makes me happy, too. Yeah. Now let's talk about not telling her father about her getting married. She says, if I've told him, I wouldn't have left Peru. And people are saying, like, I don't understand this. But Jasmine, again, to the rescue, says, no, I think you all need to understand that Latino parents are fucking scary. So, apparently her dad was invited to be at this tell-all, and he declined, but he did have at least one thing to say, which is this. I hope my daughter reconsiders and comes home. She doesn't need anything there. Thank you. After she's been married and she's married. Like, come on. And I understand, like, you know, it was hurtful what she did. I get it. But now she's married. So let's get over it. Um, she misses him, she says, and I guess they don't talk, and she says it's difficult. But now here comes Brandy to stir some shit up. Annalie actually does like a hard thing to her. She's gonna be taking that shit back real quick. So Brandy says that she still has reservations about them. She thought it wasn't real. And it's the fact that she hid Clayton from her dad, but I think she's well explained why she did, and I actually kind of understand why she did. Um, and she says, maybe she has a boyfriend in Peru, maybe that's why she hid Clayton. What? And Annalise says, I wanted Clayton to move to Peru. So clearly I don't have a fucking boyfriend, you dumb bitch. She's like, I left everything for him. And she says that Brandy says she sees no affection between them. But maybe she just doesn't want to do that. And that's kind of what people say. Like, everyone's idea of affection is different, and displaying that to everybody is different. But look at everyone else here, and everyone's like all touchy, like close with each other. And she's like, gonna look at you guys like you're not doing that. But let's move on past that. Let's talk about the stripper. And we see the clip of, Annalie with the stripper. And Clayton says, well, it's not quite how she described it. He said that she looks happy. And Brandy says, well, she asked me for the stripper and I gave her the stripper, which is true. And Annalie, I call bullshit on this, by the way. Annalie says, I was joking because I knew he didn't want me to have a stripper. That's bullshit, honey. You wanted the damn stripper. Annalie says Annalie says Brandy wanted the stripper for herself. Maybe. But you asked for the stripper, so she gave you the stripper. And now we're accusing Brandy of being a meddler. It's great. Then Brandy does like the stirring of the pot motion, which isn't helping your cause here, ma'am. And like Clayton's kind of losing it at this point. And someone says, it's like, I feel like you hate your sister. And he says, I'm bothered by my sister. And I think she is bothered that I am in a happy relationship. Oh. Brandy says, no, I'm not. And Sam asks, like, do you think you do things to test the relationship, though? She says no, but maybe if I am around them more, I would think differently. Number one, Brandy, you do test them. Number two, Clayton comes back with, what's a good thing you're not around us more than? Ooh. Brandy says that their relationship is odd, which is kind of not an okay thing to say because, again, with everyone kind of saying, everyone's idea of what a relationship looks like is different for everybody else. Like, you can't judge that. Clayton says, we come from different backgrounds. All of our relationships on the stage come from different backgrounds. So then we're all odd. And that's true to some extent. He then says, when will enough be enough for you, though, to accept it? And she says, well, just when she feels ready to accept it, it's all up to her, And this, oh my God, this was, oof. They need like therapy or some, not a tell-all. Because Clayton says, well, that is how you have been living your whole life, and it hasn't really gotten you very far. They hate each other. Rob says, you don't know what his idea of love is. You're just kind of going based on what your perspectives are. And which is true. That's actually really insightful, Rob. Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's basically as she leaves, and she thinks that Annalie is just here for a green card, basically. So before we head into the next couple, I did say that I did have one piece of hot goss that I think is kind of relevant. Brandy posted on her Instagram, and she has the following to say. Clayton was born when I was 12, and we had a very rough upbringing. I was left at home with him to babysit a lot, so my mom could run around and party. He was basically my child. 5 years later, I became a mom to my own children, and I still had Clayton a lot because I wanted to. So yes, our relationship may seem odd to a lot of people, but at one point we were all each other had. That gives a lot of perspective into why Brandy is the way she is with him. And honestly, I I get it. I honestly get it, because that is me with my brother. I was 12 when he was born too. Now, my mom wasn't like that. I wasn't left to babysit him or anything like that, but you do kind of get that parental feeling. So I definitely understand. Definitely got it. From that perspective. So there's that. But enough of that. Let's quickly, very quickly talk about Devin and Nick, because there's not a lot here to talk about anyways. He has his green card already. It took 6 months for him to get it. No one else has their green cards yet. But, you know, he apparently, Devin says, like, he did the paperwork the day after. He did everything that he had to do. She didn't really have to do anything. He did it. And so everyone else kind of on the stage was Jasmine being like, I can't do anything until Gino does it. She could do it. I guess it really and truly, any of these people could actually do it, and you can mail it in his name or whatever. Like, anyone can do it. It's pretty impressive. Anyway, with that being said, he's now a project manager in Atlanta. So he's already moved, but she hasn't moved yet. She kind of wants him to get kind of situated first, and then she would come up after. So now her parents are here, and now let's talk about the piggy in the room. So she does wish that he kept the piggy thing private between them because of how other people perceive it. She's embarrassed by it. It doesn't bother her necessarily. I don't buy that. I call bullshit. I think it does bother her. And then he kind of says that, couples in Korea do it. Maybe not everybody, but there are people who do it, and it's cute or whatever. And he still calls her Piggy. And at one point, I guess because people are kind of like, well, why can't you just stop doing it? He's like, it's a joke. Let's have a sense of humor. So now, is it a nickname for her, or is it a joke? Which is it? So he's learning, though, he says, I don't buy it either, and doesn't call her that in public anymore. But Sophie makes a very good point here to him and says, I know you're not doing this to be malicious, but if she would say something to you that maybe isn't offensive to her in her culture, but would be offensive in your culture, would you like that? You probably wouldn't like that. So at that, he apologizes, quote unquote, because then he later, after he apologizes, like, so he's not taking this fucking seriously at all. He's no. But because he doesn't care. He doesn't care at all. And he Like, nothing's going to change with that. He's not going to stop. Um, and it's unfortunate because, like, I think a lot of us liked Nick initially. And I mean, yeah, it was problematic that he was saying it and he knew it was problematic, in terms of how it comes across in American culture. But he still does it. He doesn't give a shit. He has this air about him that he doesn't give a shit. And that's the problem. Anyway, that's basically it for them. There's, again, wasn't much there with Nick and Devin because we didn't have much of a season with Nick and Devin. Moving on, Nikki and Justin Igor are back to them again. Let's go back to them. Nikki's mom is now here. Justin Igor says, Myrna, you know the truth. Fuck you. Her mom says, he's not a guy, like, not like, a stand-up guy, and he's not trans attracted. And, he's like, it just means that you're my exception. No one wants to fucking hear that they're your exception. The K1 visa is still processing. I'm sorry, what now? Why is she still processing it? I know the night before is when he said he's not trans attracted, but like, you shouldn't be doing it at all. Jasmine says women can be dominant, but that doesn't mean we are like men, right? That is the problem, though. That is exactly it. It's not because she's trans that he has a problem with. Because here we have Jasmine who's speaking up. We have Ashley who's speaking up, who are biologically born women. And he still has a problem with them too. Says they have Nikki vibes. No, they're just, we're women. We're allowed to speak up. We have gone through way too much in the years prior, many, many, many years prior, to now have this fucker or any fucker like him telling us that we have man vibes because, God forbid, we speak up. He's a fucking asshole. And I don't understand why she'd want to be with anyone like him. And Jasmine does tell him, you're just an asshole. That's all that says to her, you're an asshole. And all he can say is, you have your copy of Nikki, you have Nikki vibes and whatever. And he says, like, she doesn't know anything about being in a straight relationship and how you act like a lady in a straight relationship. I'm in a straight relationship and I run the fucking ship. I don't have my man telling me, oh, I'm a man because I, run things or I keep him in order because, gosh, like, if I didn't, my God, you know what I mean? Like, yes, like in certain situations, yes, you kind of want your man to lead, but I mean, I should have the option to be the one that's kind of in that in that driver's seat too. That doesn't mean I'm a man or any of these other women on stage are acting like a man. Like, fuck you. Then she starts having a panic attack. Literally there on stage. And he doesn't care. He's like, I don't have my mother here to protect me. Like, blah, blah, like, fuck you. And her mom says, Myrna says, your mom loves Nikki. So what is that gonna get you? It's true. Anyway, they do ask, like, even if the K1 visa process is still going through and they get the interview, Justin Igor, are you gonna go to the interview? And he says no, he's not gonna go. And I think that's probably the realest and actually the most respectable thing that he said the entire time. And then she says, well, I guess I'm not going to be pulling it then. And Justin Igor agrees. Nikki gives her mom the ring and says, take this shit. I don't want it. And, well, that's the end of the tell-all, guys. That's the end of the season. So, we only have a little more to do and we will be done. So, Justin Igor has to say, women in America don't have respect or care what the men feel. That's not true. We do respect our men. We do care about our men. We just don't care about the men who don't care about us. There we go. Nikki emails her attorney and tells them to pull the visa. Ashley and Manuel are going to go have some sex magic. We'll see them soon. Nick wants to settle down in his job, move her down, and make babies. Annalie and Clayton do this awkward fucking kiss situation to prove to Brandy that their relationship is real. I didn't need it. I didn't want it. The sounds, it was disgusting. I didn't want that. And no one asked for that shit. Anyways, that's basically it. We did have other people kind of have comments as well, but you know what? It doesn't matter because we're going to still see Jasmine and Gino. We're still going to see Rob and Sophie. And like I said, we're still going to see Ashley and Manuel in the next season. In the season that starts tonight as I record this. So, how I feel about the season. You know what? The season's actually pretty good. I actually enjoy the season. I could have survived without Nikki and Justin Igor, honestly. And I could have used more Closet Mom. But anyways, more Closet Mom before Closet Mom got problematic. But yeah, I mean, it was still a pretty good season. I enjoyed it. And with HEA coming just around the corner, it's going to be pretty interesting. But again, as a reminder for HEA, we are not covering Ed and Liz or Angela and Michael at all. Not even a little bit. That could also change in terms of Mahmoud and Nicole, if we will cover them. But we'll see how that goes. But until next time, I will see you soon for the new season of HEA, and that is it. That is a wrap on 90 Day OG. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.